Hello, and welcome to the live stream. I just wanted to come on real quick to have a unmute. Let me unmute. That would be helpful. Hi, guys. Welcome to the live stream. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. I just wanted to come on and give my commentary about Tami and her husband and her recent comments about allowing him to have a baby outside of their relationship and on a break in order for him to be able to have a legacy for himself because he is an only child. So, if you're new to my channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey T, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Amira, and this is Amira. So actually, it's Amira. And I give commentary for women. I usually take current events that I see out in the news and I'll try to put it into context of like what's going on in relationship in terms of your partner, your spouse, like how you can find confidence in yourself as a woman, how you can better yourself, how you can live the life that you want, and how to just build up your confidence as a woman. So that's what my channel is all about. It's all about believing in yourself because I find that, it's very hard for women sometimes to find boundaries and to find healthy spaces within their relationships. And for some women, it comes easy. For others, it's a learned behavior over a period of time. And for some, they just absolutely never learn it. And when I heard about Tami being on the reel talking about her marriage with Reggie and saying that, they had a real come to Jesus moment where she was like, look, it may come a time where I might have to allow you to go out and have a relationship for 2 years outside of this marriage. And I focus on me and my career, so that you can leave this legacy behind. And it's a legacy I believe that you deserve. So when she said that, my initial reaction was like, whoa, that was, very bold of her because a lot of women don't really feel comfortable coming out and speaking that level of truth. A lot of women will keep that within the confines of their own home, and some of them will suffer in silence. Some of them will, hold on to their own selfish desires as a way to keep their marriage filled with sanctity, right? Because the sanctity of marriage is to your spouse be true, right? You're not supposed to let outside parties into your marriage because that breaks the covenant of marriage altogether. But I think what Tami brought up is something that a lot of women do think about. Especially if they suffer from infertility, and especially if they are at an age where they don't want to have any more children, but they meet a man who has not yet lived out all of his desires of procreation. And so that brings me to my initial topic, which is, are men immortal? Now, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but if you think about it, Tami is plus 50 years old when she met him. I think they've been married for a couple years now, but she was definitely well into her 40s when she met him. And he's 17 years younger than her from what she said. So if you really think about it, she's at the age where, from a biological perspective, her mortality has really set in, right? Like her mortality is here. Even though she says she has not yet gone through menopause, her mortality nonetheless is here. And he is at a point where it's like, I'm young, like I'm a young man. I can still continue to procreate. And for most men, mortality for them doesn't set in for a very long time, if ever. Some men can be 70, 75 years old and still making babies with little young tenderonis out here. I mean, these are people who like real stories I know in my own life. Like there are men who are like 70 years old who have just fathered children with young girls who are looking for sugar daddies and they're just looking for a companion and a young woman to have on their arm. Maybe they're rich men with money. I see this all the time. And I think for a woman, especially when you meet someone that you love and you know that like a lot of women don't feel like they've truly hit the essence of womanhood until they've had children. And so a lot of women struggle when they can't have kids. They struggle with identity and like, am I truly a woman? Like, have I really have I manifested anything real and tangible? Because I have not made a child yet. And I think a lot of women struggle with that. And I think even though Tami has 2 children, her children are much older. She was not really happy in those relationships from which those children were born. And here she has now found her person, her life partner, someone who supports, believes in her, and helps her with all her businesses. She's finally become the woman she's always wanted to be, as she talked about on the reel. Yes, they were well aware of the age difference. T, absolutely. I'm gonna get into that too. And that's a different conversation. But yes, I think that a lot of women, you meet somebody and this is what I talk about, like finding your person, right? Because it took Tami quite a while to find the person she was going to spend her life with for the rest of her years to come. She has some troubled relationships, some domestic violence that she's spoken out about in her previous relationships, cheating, all kind of issues. And then you find somebody who truly loves you, who truly treats you well, who truly gives you that attention you deserve as a woman, and then you can't give them the one thing that you feel that they deserve. Now, yes, I do believe, as as you mentioned in the chat, like you meet somebody and you have that transparent conversation up front where you're like, hey, look, you know how old I am. I'm hitting that senior corner. You young. Are you sure you really want to do this with me? Because I'm not going to be able to give to you what it is that you want. But I think everybody goes into a relationship hopeful that even though you know the cards that you are dealt, you may have a little bit of hope in your heart that circumstances can change or that you guys can prevail beyond your circumstances. And that to me is evidenced by the fact that Tami froze her eggs. Like she talks about how she did multiple rounds of IVF. She got her eggs frozen. She's had several miscarriages trying to carry a child for him. She's just gone through a lot. And I think Tami kind of brushed over it when she was on the reel, but when she did her live stream, when she went live on YouTube, she kind of gave a little bit more context. But one of the things I didn't hear her really hone in on was the psychological trauma that comes from when a woman has to either give up life or lose life. And when I say give up life, and I think a lot of women, when they, and I'm gonna go into a more controversial topic here, because people say, oh, you got an abortion or you decided to get rid of your child. Women get rid of children for all different sorts of reasons, And I think Jeannie Mai hit the nail straight on the head when she talked about this, when she flat out said, I did not want to bring a child into this world when I knew I was not emotionally stable, mentally stable. I was too selfish. I could not be the kind of mother I knew my child would deserve. I had a lot of unhealed trauma. I had a lot of pain that I was dealing with. You never know what could trigger a woman to want to terminate a pregnancy. And I think it's more than just, you just want to be out here in these streets and you don't want to be tied down by a child. Some women do have the self-awareness to know that they are not mentally or emotionally prepared to raise children. And so they may make the decision to terminate a pregnancy for that reason alone. And then you have Tami, who has gone through all these different traumas trying to conceive a child for her husband, because even though I'm sure that conversation was had up front, I'm sure when you really love somebody, you will do everything humanly possible to, hey, I don't even know why you in my chat talking about nonsense. But anyhow, you could get put in timeout. Don't come in my chat talking nonsense. So when you have a woman who is having a baby, who is thinking about, okay, even though we had this conversation up front and I know that you don't want children, and I am telling you that, okay, I may not be able to give you children, we're still going to have a relationship with one another. We're still going to build a family with one another. So I personally think that Tami reached a point where she was like, this man has given me so much of himself. It may be, I want to do everything that I can to give him something that I know he deserves. And that's why I think she probably was like, you know what, I can't do this. Like, I can't handle the emotional trauma, the emotional disturbance, the emotional withdrawal of not being able to bring life into this world. And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Juliana Rancic from E! News. Like, she talked about her struggles with infertility with her husband, and how, she struggled with, a eating disorder. She struggled with body image issues, and all of that stuff caught up to her when she was trying to procreate. And she had a very difficult time conceiving a child, very difficult. And it takes a very strong man to stand by a woman who has had a difficulty conceiving a child, and that emotional trauma that comes with that burden that a woman feels, because a lot of women do feel that way, like, dang, I can't be the woman he deserves. And so that's the context I took with Tami. I was like, you know what, I think this is coming from a place where she's like, I honestly just want to give him what I feel he deserves, because he has really been there for me in such an amazing way. Like, he's a great guy. He doesn't deserve to sacrifice something that he truly wants just so that I could have what I truly want, which is this marriage, and to live out my career as best as I possibly can. And so a lot of people was giving Tami slack, but I honestly thought it was very selfless of her, in my own opinion. I'm like, for you to reach a point where you're like, I don't want to hold you back. Like, I don't want to be the reason why you're not living up to your fullest potential as a man. You're not leaving a legacy behind, especially because he's the only child. How does his name carry on? Because it is the male child that carries on the legacy of his family. That is true. Like, women, a female child will go off and marry and have and take on her husband's last name, but a male child will, and it's no guarantee that he will have a male child, right? Unless, he goes out and finds a surrogate, and he takes his sperm and guarantees that it's a male child and implants a male child so that his legacy lives on. Right. But a female child, when they go out and they remarry, they're going to take on the name of their new husband. They're not going to carry on their father's name. So the fact that he is the only child and he is a male, she does not want him to die with his family name, to die with him. And I think that that's very mature of her. I think it's brave of her, in my opinion, because a lot of women would not think about that. A lot of women would be like, no, I'm you knew what time it was when you married me. You knew how old I was. Like, this is just what it is. No, I think she was like, I'm like, no, like, I don't want that for you. I am not being a good woman to you if I let you give up everything for me. And when I say everything, I'm not talking about a career. I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about legacy. I'm talking about legacy. Okay. Legacy, because that child carries on your name. That child is going to carry on your legacy into this world. It's going to be what is left of you when you are no longer here. And I think a lot of married people have this conversation when they are in relationships, and nobody talks about it. The children conversation. How many kids do you want? Is it the right time to have kids? And I think that it's more often than not, men and women are never on the same timeline when it comes to child rearing. But see, this is why I personally wouldn't get involved with a man knowing he wants children and I either can't or don't want anymore. It's a tough situation to touch a topic for a lot of women. Yes, it is. And I was just about to talk about my own personal situation. Like, I'm speaking from personal experience that, when my husband and I got married, hard decision, but selfless. Yes, it is. When my husband and I got married, like, this is just my own personal experience. When we got married, we did not have a conversation up front about how many kids we wanted. Like, we knew we wanted kids. We knew we wanted a boy and we wanted a girl. Like, we wanted to have 2 kids, probably, ideally, but we never spoke on a hard number. We had our son. He was, our first son. He was completely unplanned. Okay, we had a son. Boom. Right. We did not have more children for my son was almost 7 years old before we decided to have our second child, because we realized, whoa, we had a child super young. We're in our early 20s, like the both of us. We're living our life, and we had a child relatively young, even though we were both employed. We had our own place, we had cars, we had our life together, from life together, what it will look like. But we were not in a place where I would say we were like winning, right? I wouldn't say that. I would say we were surviving. And we waited a long time to have another child. And our second child was extremely planned. Like we were trying to conceive a child. And we wanted to conceive a female. We wanted to have a girl because we already had a boy. But you can't choose the sex of your child unless you go through alternative measures. And we ended up having a second child. It was a boy. Great. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want to have another kid. Like I did want to have another kid because I always wanted to have a daughter, but I don't know if I want to have another kid because now I'm and him, we are both in our money making season. Like we in Run Me My Money season, which is like a quote I say if you follow me on Instagram. We are in Run Me My Money season, baby. And I don't know if I want to be slowed down having another kid. But I remember that hard conversation when my husband pulled me in the kitchen and he was like, I want to have another baby. And he was dead to the serious. It wasn't like, oh, just let's talk about it. Let's think about it. It was like, I want to have another child. And was I jumping for joy at that very moment to conceive another child? Not necessarily. I was like, can we wait? And he was like, no, I really want to have another child. And I remember having that conversation with my mother. I think my mother was probably like the only person I talked to about it. And I was like, what do you think? Like, I'm not necessarily jumping for joy to have another child at this very moment, but he really wants one. Now, did I want another child? Yes, but not at that moment. And she was like, that's your husband. Like, what's stopping you from having another child? Like, is there a financial reason why you can't have another child? Is there an emotional reason, physical? Like, what's the reason? And if you really can't come up with no solid reason, then ultimately, do you have an obligation as a woman to give your husband another child if he wants one, even if you're not jumping for joy to have one? Is that sacrifice? Is that what marriage is about? A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but it's a real thing. It's a very real thing that you have to consider the feelings and emotions of your significant other when you are in marriage. When you are married to somebody, you have to consider all of the elements. And the one thing about life is constantly changing. And even though you may go into the situation thinking we are not ready, we're not having any more kids, I'm not having kids, like Jeannie Mai and all her boos, like she knew, she said she told Freddie up front, I don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. And look what happened. They had a divorce because ultimately his plans changed and he wanted children and she did not. Things change. And I think for Tami, she's realizing that for him, things have changed. And she's like, I don't want to lose my husband. I don't want to lose my best friend forever because things have changed for him, but they have not changed for me. And I think it's selfless of her to say, listen, I understand that I'm taking a risk because one thing she didn't really talk about, I was like, sis, flag on the play. What happens if he meets this other woman? He develops real feelings for her. And now it's more than just a baby. Now it's like, I might want to be with this woman and raise a family with her because she is now the mother of my child. And I think that that's something that Tami has to really consider because, wait, what did she say? I worry about the long-term emotional damage she will suffer for another one given what she wants to give. Absolutely. Kawana, I was just about to get into that. There are absolutely long-term consequences emotionally because you can't control the world. You cannot control how a man will respond to the emotional connection of seeing a woman bring life into this world. I don't know about anybody else's birth experience because I really only can talk about my own, which I recorded. The look on a man's face when he sees a woman bringing life into this world. Now, some men, they may be completely changed by that moment and be like, oh my God, they emotional. They might be crying. They may be like, I can't believe what I just witnessed. I can't believe what I'm seeing in front of me. You never know what a man is going to feel. Some men might be like, they don't want, it don't hurt. It ain't nothing for them. Like some men, they could just brush it off like, oh, she just had a baby, like whatever. It's another Tuesday. But in my opinion, some men, they see that and that changes their feelings toward a woman, especially if you have a difficult childbirth experience and you don't know what could happen. When you see a woman, them contractions is coming. You see the pain this woman going through. You see her bellowing over, rocking back and forth. I remember like my own childbirth experience with my second son. My first son, I feel like even though I was in labor for 24 straight up hours, I remember all of those contractions. I was super composed with my first son. I never really lost my cool. I was in a lot of pain, but I remember just watching the clock and just tracking the time. Like I knew when the contraction was going to happen. I braced for it. I was ready. Like I felt like I was very ready, and I was a lot younger, but I was okay. My second son, them contractions hit me. Them contractions hit me. And when I tell you, I remember looking up at my husband and my mother, because they were the two people in the room. I looked at my husband and I said, I'm about to go into shock. That I remember him looking at me, and we locked in. And I was like, I'm going to go into shock. Like I was in so much pain. I thought that I was straight up about to die. And that pain, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I remember him being like, we got to get her epidural. Like, my epidural never even kicked in with my second son because he was already coming out by the time the medicine started to work. But I literally told them, like, if they had to give me oxygen, I'm like, if you don't give me an epidural, I'm going to go into shock. I'm going to die right here in this moment, because that pain, the pain that a woman feels when she goes through childbirth, if a man is truly present in a room to witness that, it's something he will never forget. Never forget. You see like the freaking monitor, the heart rate monitor going because your heart rate is elevated, your blood pressure is elevated, the beeping, the doctors are rushing in. You don't, that mess can not only traumatize a woman, but also create an unbelievable emotional bond for a man. So this is what I was thinking to Tami. I'm like, you got to be weary of that. Like you build something procreate. Now, if you decide to do like IVF, it's no guarantee that it'll take, and it's very expensive. Like IVF is not cheap. It's like $50,000 a pop. So you could be like, okay, well, we're going to do IVF and I will protect myself and have no emotional connection to the woman. But you could waste $250,000 and never ever see life from that. The only way to surefire, smooth guarantee procreation, and that ain't even a guarantee, is an ejaculation, an organic hormonal response, estrogen elevated, you ejaculate inside of a woman, God takes over, and as a result of God's intervention, life is conceived, and as a result, God willing, that baby survives. It's free, but you bear the risk of all the other stuff that comes with it. You bear the risk of all of the stuff that comes with it. Whatever happened is God's will and put into God's hands. I don't think people putting things in your own hands is a good idea. It's not how God wants it to go. Lisa Johnson, yes, I agree with that. I agree with that to some extent. I do believe in God and God's plan over your life. And that's something that even for me, I had to like come to Jesus with, because there was a time in my life where I was strongly considering doing IVF to have a daughter. Like I was strongly considering doing that. I was like, you know what? I want to have a daughter. Like I have 3 beautiful sons. I was like, I really want to have a daughter. And I was strongly considering going through the IVF process, gender selection IVF, because, you know, knock on wood, but to my knowledge, I don't have infertility issues. But I was going to do gender selection IVF. It's very expensive. It's an extreme emotional and physical commitment. But I really thought that, like, dang, I really want to have traditions to leave behind for a daughter, like to pass on my essence as a woman to a daughter. But then my husband really had a conversation with me. He's like, you're building a strong family here. Like we're building something real here. You have 3 beautiful sons who love and adore you. You're still the queen of the household. Like you'll always be taken care of. You're building something strong here. But I do think, and that's why I was saying about mortality. Like I feel where Tami's coming from, where she talked about legacy, because I think that most people who want kids want to have kids because they want to leave something behind. Whether it's traditions, whether it's the family name, whether it's a mini me that you want to see inside of yourself, no matter what it is, most people want to leave something behind, something to be remembered by, something to say that I was here. Right? I was here. This is proof that I was here. And I think that Tami is selfless for wanting to give him that, because everybody want to have proof that they was here. Now, there's other ways you can have proof that you was here. You can write a book. You can become famous. You can become independently wealthy. You could build a conglomerate of businesses. You can always have your name live on if you like put it on the side of a building, right? But all of those things are they're tangible assets, but they can all be destroyed, right? Your name, look at what happened with, everybody who's ever had a scandal, right? Your name could be destroyed in one act of poor judgment, right? Your name can be destroyed. One act of poor judgment, your whole name can be destroyed. Look at R. Kelly, look at Cosby, look at Harry Weinstein, look at Bernie Madoff. Like, I mean, if you really think about it, your whole entire brand, your name, everything you worked for, all your hard work can be destroyed with one act of poor judgment. But when you have an actual child to show for it, like physical, tangible proof of your existence, so long as that child is here on this earth, your legacy will always, always, always be around. And that is something that money can buy. That's not something love can buy. That's not something fame can buy. And that's why people hold child rearing and childbearing so close to their heart, and that's why I always feel such high empathy for people who struggle with fertility issues, because that, it's also about love, but it's also about mortality. It's all, to me, I think it's an element of mortality to it. Like, I don't want to be gone forever. I don't want to be forgotten. I want a piece of me to always live on, And so, yeah, what did T say? Hold on. She said, I think the baby would be a constant reminder. I mean, but if she willingly wants him to do it, I feel like if she's like, listen, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with you having a baby with somebody else, because number one, I don't want you to resent me. I don't want that burden over our marriage. I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that. I would not want that. I don't want to be the reason why you didn't get to have all the things that you felt you deserved as a man or as a partner, because that's what partnership is about. That's what marriage is about. Marriage is about two people coming together, two counterparts coming together selflessly, and giving to the other balance. That's what it all is. It's all about balance. And this takes me a little bit down a rabbit hole, but it's something I really do want to talk about, especially when you're thinking about picking a partner for your family. Like, if you're going to pick a partner for your procreation, find somebody who balances out you. If you are an emotional person, if you are an irrational person, if you are a person who's sensitive, if you are a person who lacks patience, if you are a person who gets overwhelmed, you have to be with somebody who counteracts, who counterbalances those emotions. You have to find somebody who is patient, who isn't impulsive, who does have reserve, who does have restraint, who is level-headed, because you cannot have two people who don't have control in one situation. It never ends up for a good result. And so I think that's what it's all about. Finding somebody who balances you. And I think Tami is self-aware. She's like, I know me. I know that I can no longer endure this. I don't want that over me. I don't want your unhappiness to be on my shoulders down in the long run. I think it's brave of her. It's bold, and it's probably a lot of people didn't expect it, but I think it was brave of her. I think it was brave, and I think it was cool. Let me see if I had any other notes. The fear of not having a legacy, God's plan. Yeah. So what do you guys think in the chat? Do y'all do it? Would you allow somebody to have a baby on you intentionally if you could not give them children? It gets boring if she's just like me. I get tired of myself quickly. It gets boring if she's just like me. I get tired of myself quickly. I'm 50 years old and I never had children, and I want children, but I still feel that I'm building my legacy. Lisa, this is a great point. In what ways do you feel that you're building your legacy? Because I think to me that's that's something I really would like to explore. Like, how do you fill that void? And I only say a void because you said that you want children. So I'm only gonna that's the only reason why I'm calling it a void, because you said you wanted it. But how do you feel you're building your legacy? Is it with your nieces and nephews, with siblings, with like your brand, your business? Like, how do you keep your cup full and running over? I think she feels that way now as a selfless act, but what did she say? She said, I think she feels that way now as a selfless act, but when the baby comes, that will be a hard pill to swallow. I get her reasoning behind it, but ultimately, I feel she's opening up Pandora's box. Um, I think that I agree with you, and I think that's a risk she's decided she's willing to take. I think that she's realizing that she's gotten a lot from him, and his loyalty throughout. I think she said they lost. She had 6 eggs, and she said that all of her gynecologist told her all of her most likely her eggs would produce special needs children. This is what Tami said on her live. She said that most likely her eggs will produce special needs children. She also said they had multiple miscarriages, and that he's seen her suffer through multiple rounds of failed IVF. Um, I think as much as it is disappointing for her as a woman to survive, to feel that loss, she knows what it's like to carry a child. She has brought life into this world. So even though she's lost those children, and those children's lives are just as important as the ones that survived and made it and are thriving, all he knows is loss of child. He doesn't have a success story. Tami has one. She has two alive and well children. She knows what childbearing and rearing feels like. She's done it. She's lived the experience. And I think that she feels like she's hijacking him of that experience. I do think that I don't know. I don't know. I don't think she'll feel differently. I believe that Tami is dead to the Fred. I think she's like, this is the risk I'm willing to take. If he goes out and finds another woman who makes him happy, who loves him, and he has a baby with her, and he just tells me, you know what, babe, I don't think I'm coming back. I think she has weighed her options and decided that's a pill she's gonna have to swallow. That's just what she got to deal with, because that's the choice she made. But she also realizes that she don't want that burden on her back of I deprived this man of the opportunity to leave a legacy behind for himself. And when I'm going, because Tami, unless an act of God happens or he gets sick, you never know who's gonna get called home first. Tami could go to live to be 95 years old. You know, what if she outlives him? Because I think she said his reaction was, no, I'll wait. Like, if something ever happens to you, I could always have kids because I'm a man, and theoretically speaking, men are immortal, right? So he's like, listen, I'll wait. Like, I'll wait you out, in a very nice way. It sounded like he said, listen, I know you're going to die first, so I'm gonna hold out until something happened to you. And you don't know what God's plan is. You don't know when your time number going to get called. I think I would rather let it go in this entirety. Um, I think a self. I agree. I agree that is it easier to just break up or divorce and say we're moving in two different directions? Maybe we should divorce. Is it easier to do that? Um, I think it would be, but I wonder why she's not. I wonder why she's not. I think she's not, because I think she's okay. She's okay giving up purpose. It almost comes off across to me. Now, y'all might disagree with me in the chat, but it almost comes off to me that she's willing to give up her position as the main woman in his life and move her way, slide her way into your sugar mama or your side chick or your fun time when we could just have a situationship, an entanglement. It's looking like she's trying to have an entanglement. Maybe she's willing to give up her position as his wife and go into an entanglement, because she's like, I don't want to lose all of you. When you lose, I don't know. You don't want to lose all of a man. You don't want to lose all of a man. And I know that that's a very ambiguous statement that maybe I should break down a little more. But when a man really loves a woman, and this is just my observation from books that I've read, things that I've studied, in college, and just articles and journals that I've read, when a man really loves a woman, really, really loves a woman, there is no limit to what this man will do. There's no limit to what this man will do. When a man really loves a woman, there will be no limit to what he will do, what he will give up, what he will accomplish, what he will believe in, who he'll hurt. There is no limit. There's no limit. And I think that Tami realizes that this man loves her. What I believe in, find you a man who loves you just a little bit more than you love him. That may be T, but you it takes a lot for it's to me, I think it's a lot easier for a woman to be faithful and committed than it is a man. I think that's just my personal opinion. Y'all may disagree with me in the chat, but that's my personal opinion. I think it's much easier for a woman to be faithful than it is a man. There's so much social societal stigma about women being hoes and being sluts and being in these streets and and doing all of that. I mean, I think it's just now Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B, and Cardi married, so I really got to take her with a grain of salt because she went and married herself up. Hey Concoup, she went and married herself up, so I got to take Cardi B with a grain of salt. But it's a Meg Thee Stallion, and I think it's another one. I was just listening to her song. I think her name is Mona Leo, where she be like, and for this next line, you gotta look me in my eye. If you think I'ma sweat you, you watch your mother effing mind. That song go hard, but I think it's now that we're starting to see this like shift in the universe where it's like, get men to take care of you, trick these hoes out, trick these men. And by hoes, I mean men. Trick on these, like trick these hoes out, do men how they do women, blah blah. Like that level of swag that women are starting to puff their chests out with. I think that's like a new age. That's like new. That's like happening now. But I think that in the back of people's mind, that whole I want to be wifed up, I don't want to be nobody's side chick, slut, jump off or whatever, that still resonates within women, whereas men are praised. Men are praised. I talked about this in my last live. A man ain't really out here doing nothing unless he got a whole bunch of women fighting over him. Period. I don't care how much money he has. Man, if a man got money, people be like, most of the time they talk about how bad his female is. Oh, well, what kind of woman he with? What his wife got going for her? What kind of bitches he pulling? That's what it's all about. People think men control. No, women make men hot. Period. A man ain't hot unless he got a bad B on his arm, and by bad B, I don't just mean looks. I mean a woman who really got her shit together, right? Together. Okay. She know how to help him make money. He know how to help her make money. That's how you build a real power couple. So I personally think that, shoot, I know I was reading your comment out and went off my point. That's why I shouldn't go down rabbit holes. Oh, yes, I was talking about the shift in the energy. So I think that now you got to be thinking about what kind of man you're building a family with, in a relationship with. You got to really be thinking about that. Like, is this something that's really going to go the distance? Are we balanced? Are we counterbalanced? And are we going to go the difference? What T. Lee said, it seems like it's starting to become a thing. Women being okay with sharing their man in a poly lifestyle seems to be a topic these days. I mean, look at Danny Lay and oh my God, and the baby. I did a live on them before that. My last live was about them. I just cannot. I cannot. I don't know if it's a scarcity mindset. I don't know if I don't know what's triggering that. I don't know what's appealing about it. I don't know what's sexy about it. It is unbelievably dangerous. It's unbelievably dangerous to be willing to give up your whole being as a woman to fight over a man or to share a man. Like, it's almost unbelievable to think about, and I talked about the baby, and this is not about Tami and her husband. So, but I'm gonna go down this little rabbit hole real quick. It really blows my mind that if you are a woman of sound mind, body, and spirit, and by sound mind, body, and spirit, I mean a woman who, and this ain't even about having a bunch of money, because everybody doesn't hit their money making season at the same time. When I say sound mind, body, and spirit, I mean a woman who just delivers peace to the table. Like, when you come home, I don't want to fight. I don't want to argue. I want peace. I want you to come home and me to come home, and our household is peaceful. We're not It's not chaos in here. We can have an intelligent conversation about whatever. We can laugh. We can spend quality time together. I know that I could trust you. You could trust me. You know that I'm going to give you some solid advice because I'm telling you, you know what a man really values in a woman? And this is just me talking to different men. I have a good amount of male friends, and I read a lot about these topics. If you really pay attention, if you ever read the Barack Obama book, a promised land, I believe. Don't quote me on the title because I'm drawing a blank at the moment. But I didn't finish Obama's book, but I got through a good portion of it because I was reading him and Cicely Tyson at the same time. So I got to finish it up. But one of the biggest things he talks about in this book, and you can even find this in Michelle Obama's book, which I did read. What made him attracted to Michelle Obama? What made her, Michelle Obama talks about how, she was not like a beauty queen back then. She was a regular girl from Chicago, came from a very humble family that just believed in work ethic and she was just a regular around the way girl by all accounts and standards. Barack Obama, on the other hand, was a hot boy. Like literally, he was a hot boy. He was attractive. He was well spoken. He was very well connected in the community. He came in as a big shot to the law firm. They was telling Michelle Obama about him. Oh, you're going to be mentoring Barack, because that's how they met. He was her mentee, contrary to popular belief. Michelle Obama was the big dog. Okay, he was her mentee. Think about that. The Barack you see today was mentored by the Michelle Obama. Okay. Period. Put some respect on her name. So, but let's talk about the dynamic there, because this is a rabbit hole we really need to go down on what you could really learn from Barack and Michelle. When a man meets a woman, and Barack came very highly respected, highly regarded, well liked. He probably could have had to pick up the litter, because if you saw the old school pictures of Barack, he was a very attractive man and very educated. Right? He was what Kevin Samuels would call a high value man, right? Very much so. Why Michelle Obama, of all the women he could have chosen? Why? Because she brought a sense of peace and reason to his life. Peace and reason. They could have a conversation and he would be like, well, what's the right decision to make? I'm trying to make a decision about my future. Who can I consult about that decision? If your man ain't coming to you to consult you about the decisions for their life, and you not going to him to consult him about the decisions for your life, you not in no solid relationship. If your phone ring and somebody call you up and say, hey, I got an opportunity for you, this, that, and third. If your first phone call ain't to call your significant other to say, hey, let me run this by you. Let me get your insight on this. Let me get your opinion on this. Let me, I'm about to do this presentation at work. Let me see. You want to read it for me? Tell me what you think. Let me run this by you. That's what a man is really looking for. And that's why you see a lot of really attractive men marrying what some people would call regular looking girls, because a man wants somebody he can rely on, somebody he know that he can trust with his innermost thoughts and feelings, and that she's going to lead him in the right direction, that she's not irrational, emotional, and unhinged and crazy and not able to contain herself. Nobody wants that. That's not an attractive quality for a wife. So that's the T. The T is, if you're really looking out here to get wifed up and to be somebody's wife, you want to get yourself as close to peace as possible. That is really what it's at. If a man like, you know what? I like her. She peaceful. She's beautiful. She could have a good conversation with me. She's kind. She cool. Like, she cool. I like her. You just want to be that. Right? And then you want to add a little sprinkle. Show them that you could take care of the kids, right? That you got a little bit of hustle in you. You could build something, a business, and you help him make better decisions than he making. That's why, Fantasia made that comment. A man is the head, a woman is the neck. Fantasia made that comment once on the Breakfast Club. And I was thinking that, I'm like, you know what? I agree with that. Like, a man is supposed to see what's out in front and like navigate where we going, but the woman is always supposed to be in the background, making sure that there's a contingency plan, right? The contingency plan. Like, okay, you're going out and doing what you do, but like, what's the contingency plan? And I think that's what Tammy's doing. Tammy's making sure that there's a contingency plan. Like, I ain't trying to lose my husband because he look at me in 10 years and he treating when I'm old and geriatric and I need somebody to help me with my diaper and my Depends. Because in 20 years, you don't know what Tammy might need a bag. She might need some Depends and some diapers and her butt wipe. She don't want him angry. Like, dang, I'm 50. She's 70. We definitely can't party like we used to. A 50-year-old man could be out here in these streets. Let me tell you, a 50-year-old man is in his prime. He is in his prime. Most men start making the most money they will ever make in their 40s to 50s. That's money making season for a man. Big time money making season. Look at Steve Harvey. He didn't become a millionaire till he was damn near 50 years old. It's money making season. So when he's in his prime money making years, Tammy is in her almost headed to geriatric status. And that's no shade to Tammy because she looked good, but that's a reality. That's a physical reality. And she don't want him being like, I'm gonna put you in a home. I ain't about to change your diapers. I'm mad at you. I'm angry. I'm looking at you mad that I done wasted my whole young tenderoni life and I ain't got nothing to show for it but some money and some nice houses and some jewelry and some cars. I don't have nothing to remember you by. How about that? A baby between a man and a woman to remember you by. You know, I get where she coming from. She don't want to take that from him. I respect it. But let me read the chat. Concoop says, I'm a strong believer that we as women teach men how to treat us. Oh, absolutely, Concoop. A man, I said this when I did my live on CBJ. Niggas only do what we allow, and I let you. They only do what you allow, period. If you get some restraint about yourself, some dignity and some self-respect, if you let a man believe that he is going to lose you and that you will move on, it's not just about getting mad and getting the attitude. That's the thing. You can't just go 30% of the way. You got to really go there. If you got to let this man know, I have done the math and I have decided that I am going to break up with you, leave you, and if you find somebody else, then I already knew what type of time it was. You wasn't really for me to begin with. I'm out though, and I might find somebody else. I'm going to start dating because a man doesn't realize that he's really going to lose you until you replace his ass. Period. Replace him. Even if you know you're not about to really be with this dude forever, you got to replace this man. Because if he just like, oh, she got an attitude, she just mad for a little while, she gonna get over it. I know she gonna take me back. I know we gonna get back together. You gonna find yourself in the same situation you done left out of. You gotta show him for real. Like, nah, we really broke up. I'm really on dates. I'm really talking to other people. I could really be for the streets like you for the streets. I could really do you how you doing me. I really can though. And then you increase your value. You increase your value for yourself, not even for him. You increase your value for yourself. Like you remind yourself that you still really are who you say you are, a superstar. Like, I am who I say I am. Like, that is me. Like, I can really build something great for myself. I can be single. I can have boundaries. Every time you set boundaries in your life, when you honor yourself, by setting healthy boundaries with the people in your life. And it's just not even about boyfriends and girlfriends. This is about friends. This is about coworkers. This is about bosses. When you set boundaries in your life, you teach people how to treat you and you set a standard for yourself that people cannot fall below. Set a damn boundary in your life. Set boundaries. No, I do not give you permission to treat me that way. You do not have permission to talk to me that way. You do not have permission to this. And if you want to talk to me that way, find somebody else to talk to, because I'm not the one, the two, or the three. Set a boundary in your life and walk away from people. People be so damn hell bent to holding on to shit that don't serve them. What are you holding on to? You cannot engage with shit that don't serve you. If it don't serve you, why are you engaging with it? You got to have restraint to say, how can I cut my losses? What am I willing to give up so that I can continue to move forward, continue to win? Now, I talk about this in one of my other videos. I don't know if I took it down because I was like cleaning up my channel. Sometimes I'll leave videos up, I take them down, but I got to find this one. If I find it, I'll put it back up. But I had made a video about being so hell-bent on losing that you forget to win. That's what happens when you get with a man who treats you like shit. and you want to fight with him to stay with you, or you want to fight with the woman he done cheated on you with, or you want to fight with your family. No, this is the one for me. I love him. We're going to be together forever. If you want to do all of that, you so busy trying not to lose, you forget to win. Just go win. Period. Just go win. Imagine if Ciara had got so stuck on losing Future that she forgot to win Russell Wilson. Imagine the foolishness. Imagine her life if she had got so stuck on trying not to lose Future that she forgot to win Russell Wilson. Imagine that. Nobody would be around here talking about Ciara's prayer. Nobody would be out here trying to tell them some couples goals. Oh, we want to be like Ciara. We want us a Russell Wilson. We want this. We want that. Nobody would be out here saying that. Nobody would be idolizing Ciara's life. Look at her track record. Her most public relationships was Lil Bow Wow. And you know, he the king of cat. I love Lil Bow Wow, though. He funny. But her public dating track record was Lil Bow Wow, which, you know, Lil Bow Wow, to Future, which was her next most public relationship that I remember, which literally had, I don't know how many baby mamas. She done took Bow Wow and Future, added them together, subtract 2, divided by 3, carried the 1, and got herself a Russell Wilson. How the hell she pull that off? How she pull that off? You know how she pulled that off? She said that she was like, no. She set standards in her life. If y'all ever watched her interview she did about her and Russell Wilson, their first date, she was like, yeah, he wanted to go on a date with me. I told him, oh, we can't go out at night. If you want to go on a date with me, we gotta go on a date before 7 p.m. or we can't go out at all. We can't go out at all. You know what he did? He canceled his dinner. He was supposed to be meeting with somebody about some business deals. He was supposed to be making some money, a whole coin. And he canceled his coin to respect her boundaries. And from the very beginning, she set a standard. She let him know, if you want to be with me, you're going to have to make sacrifices. If you want to be with me, you're going to have to make sacrifices. She already told him who she was before he had a chance to even smell the scent of her perfume, before he had a chance to whisper in her ear, before any of that. She let him know up front, oh, I'm not like everybody else. Okay, you may be Russell Wilson and you may be a star quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks and you may be relatively attractive, but sorry, I'm not that pressed. I am definitely not that pressed. And if you could do that for yourself and let him know I'm really not that pressed, you could really get ahead. You can really get ahead. No, I'm not. And I think I talked about this when you go on the first date. No, we cannot go out to dinner in the middle at the evening time. No, we're going to meet at the bar for drinks at 6:30 in the afternoon, in the evening. We're going to have a drink at the bar and an appetizer. Because if I decide I don't like you on this first date, what the heck we in dinner for? Now I'm stuck here talking to you for 2 hours. I'm ready to go. Real Housewives about to come on. I'm ready to go. So stop signing up for that. That would be my advice is to set boundaries, set standards for yourself up front. Let them know what it is up front and let them know what you will and will not tolerate. Because once you give it all up and let them know what you will and will not tolerate, they're going to treat you accordingly. The last thing, boundaries from day one is a must. Absolutely, Concoop. Absolutely. From day one, on site is boundaries. No, you're not talking to me like that. You're not treating me like that. No. You are not. You're going to treat me like I matter because I do. I matter to me, even if I don't matter to you, because like this man don't know you. You don't matter to him, but you matter to you. So honor yourself. That's enough. Number one. And when a man show you who he is, believe him. Reggie showed Tami who he was. He is a loyal man. He is a man who loves a woman more than he cares about his own selfish desires. He is a man who's willing to be there for her when things get bad and be there for her even more when things are good. He is a man, and this is just me off of their story, their fertility journey. I can deduce these feelings, these behaviors of him just off of that. A man who's literally saying, I'm willing to forgo my entire legacy on this earth to make sure that you stay happy is a golden man to have in your arms. And in return, Tami is saying, this man loves me so much that he is willing to give up the one thing that I can never give him. He's willing to forgo that for me. So you know what I'm gonna do in return? I'm gonna give him that. I'm gonna give him that. And yeah, it may hurt me. And yeah, I may be a little sad. And yeah, it may be something new to get used to. But if he loves me that much, can I love him that much? Can I love him that much? And I honestly think Tami was serious. I think that she would co-parent with him. I think that she would be like, listen, whatever happens, happens. If he stays with me, we're gonna raise this baby as a bonus child, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm not gonna be a crazy baby mama fighting with his baby mother. I'm gonna be like, I know what type of time it is. I love this for him. And she's gonna be through the moon and jumping for joy because it's a burden off of her back as well. Period. But yeah, when a man loves a woman, there's no limit to what he will give up. And that's on period. 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 A man who loves a woman, no limit. No limit. A man who loves his woman will go to jail for his woman. He will catch a case. He will freaking do anything. Do anything. A man who loves a woman will do anything for her. Period. And that's something that people should recognize. You don't gotta fight with no man to do nothing for you if he really love you. Trust me, it ain't that hard. If you really love you, you ain't got to do much or say much. It'll happen. But anywho, I've been running my mouth long enough. I'm about to hop on off this live and get dinner started because I got to keep my house in order. I hope you guys enjoyed my little chit chat on Tami and her husband, along with some other topics, because I tend to go down rabbit holes. Thank you for everybody who joined the live. Dorita, MR, Concoop, T, Kawana, and everybody else who's just watching in the bushes. And Tony, Gambino. Thank you to everybody who joined the live. I appreciate you guys for stopping through, and I hope everyone has a great day. Bye.